Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So I'm out and about today and I just thought I would do this video on the fly, and this is a continuation of my ways that I improve my photography every year, and I'm always looking for ways to do that, and I just want to kind of help you guys do that as well. So there is another video to this. You don't have to watch them in any order, and I'll put a little card up in the top right hand corner so that you can go and look at that video after this one. I'll be showing you a bunch of monochrome images which I've taken, and those are my favorites that I've taken in 2023, and I'm just kind of doing a little bit of commentary on those and why I've chosen those as my favorites. So a few years ago it got to the end of the year, and one of the things that I knew that I needed to do was I needed to have a change, because things had got very stagnant with my photography. I was using the same focal length all the time, and sometimes you just need a change in order to actually move forward as a photographer. Not only did I change my focal length, my main focal length was 50mm at the time, and not only did I change the focal length, but I changed to a monochrome only camera. Now, that's obviously changing two things. That's changing from 50mm to 28mm, because it was the Leica Q2 Monochrom that I was using, still am. And, you know, that's a big change to do monochrome and also to change the focal length. But it was a change, and it was a really good change for me. If you've been shooting with the same focal length for a long time now, then I think maybe it could be time for a change. If you change your focal length, then basically, change the lens that's on your camera, or if you've got a fixed lens camera, then just, completely change camera. You've been seeing the world in a certain way for a long time now, and sometimes you just need this change in order for you to get better. It's not going to be easy to begin with. It never is, because once you change that focal length, it seems too close or it seems too far away. But that change will help you in the long run. Now here's some images. So here's part 2 of my best of 2023. Hope you like these photographs. So this one was taken in Edinburgh, and I love windows, and I love seeing if there's anything interesting going on in windows of cafes and things like that to do with reflections, and then just if there's any characters sitting in the windows. And just with this gentleman with his back to the window, I just thought this was just an amazing shot. And yeah, I just decided that this one needed snap. That's taken with the Leica Q2 Monochrom. And this one was a one in London Underground, taken with the Q3. This I learned quite quickly that, I had my auto ISO on, and the auto ISO, I had it set going quite high, and that's why this one is probably a lot more grainy than some of my other shots, but I like it. Now, what do you do if you see somebody who's dressed like this, looking like this? Then, well, you follow them. And this guy, he got onto the tube, and I just thought, well, I'm getting on as well. And I sat opposite him and just waited for the right expression to snap. I don't know if you can see, but if you look you can see a reflection of me in the window there. And you can see that I'm kind of holding my camera out and just looking down at the screen. Now, it was a Q3 shot, this, so I was able to kind of flip that screen a little bit so that I could see the composition and just see how that photograph was looking. You don't see many people with newspapers these days, so when I seen this gentleman coming down this escalator, he was engrossed in his newspaper, so I decided I would position myself ready for him coming down the centre there. And I really love this shot. This was taken with the Leica Q3. And this shot here was taken also with the Leica Q3. Again, just goes to show that the quality of the Q3 sensor is, you know, just incredible. It and can just rival the Q2 Monochrom if it's shot at those low ISOs. It's really whenever the ISOs get a little bit higher that things start to kind of make a big difference with the monochrome sensor on the Q2 Monochrom. But I love this portrait. He was just vaping and I just asked him if I could take a shot of him. I saw this gentleman coming down the road with his hat and that little stick or whatever they are, the toothpick in his mouth, and I thought this looks like a great character. I really need to snap this. And you know, people are usually so into their own world and everything that a lot of the time they just don't know that they're being photographed, and I just love this candid shot. Love the fact that there's taxis and things in the background there as well, just to set the scene. You probably have seen this shot of mine before. This one, you know, is probably going to be one of my all-time favourites, I would think. This one was taken on the London Underground again, and it was early morning. I saw this policeman getting onto the tube, and I did follow him because I thought, just this is just what I want. I could tell that this was going to be a great shot. So what I did was I got on and I just stood rather than sat opposite him, and this is a position that I take on the tube quite a lot whenever I'm taking these shots. You'll see that a few times where it's one person sitting just on the end there, and I really kind of know what I'm doing to do with how far to focus and everything. Sometimes I'm shooting these, you know, from the hip, or it's more kind of from the chest that I'm taking these photographs. I look down slightly at the screen. Now this was Q2 Monochrom, so I didn't have a flipping screen, but what I can always do is just look at the composition, so I can kind of see an outline of the person in front of me. The last thing that I ever want to do is raise the camera to my eye in situations like this, because you know, there's going to be confrontation there if you lift the camera up to your eye on the tube, especially a very quiet tube like this one was. So this one was actually shortlisted for the British Photography Awards. Didn't win, unfortunately, and it also received a Leica Master Shot as well. This definitely will go down as one of my favourite shots ever. And then, similar to the other shot, and I did start doing a project at this point called The Lonesome Underground, and it was basically people sitting on these side seats on their own. I love this shot. It kind of has this angelic look to it, but then also love the fact that there's a sign in the background there with those guys on, and it kind of looks as if, almost as if they're standing behind the window there. So I do these kind of shots quite often where the kind of landscape shots and, you know, the subjects in the middle. I just love taking these types of photographs with the Leica Q2 Monochrom. The detail's just incredible. I love this photograph. This gentleman, he is somebody who I started to talk to on Leica forums and Facebook and things like that. Me just commenting on his photographs, him commenting on mine, and then I met him that day for the first time. And of course, if I'm meeting somebody, I'm going to want to take the photograph. So I took his photograph, and I really, really love this portrait. I just think it's just a beautiful portrait to me. This one was taken on a very, very rainy day at the beach. I don't even know what we were thinking about going to the beach that day, but this was me and my girlfriend. We decided, right, we're going to go to the beach anyway. We're going to have a walk, and we did. And then she put this big coat on, and I said, you know, you look like the Grim Reaper in that. And then suddenly I said, right, that's it, I'm going to take some photographs. And this is the thing of having your camera on you at all times. Just even if you go out and it's pouring down with rain and you think, look, I'm not going to get any good shots today, even if that's the case, just take the camera with you anyway, because it really, you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what inspiration you're going to get at the time. And the great thing about the Q2 Monochrome is that it's weather sealed, and it really needed it this day. So I took a few different shots this day, but I like this one, and then I really like this one as well. Very simple, minimalistic, and yeah, just love these shots. And here we have the beginning of a new project where I picked this helmet up from a shop, and as soon as I saw it, I thought, right, I'm gonna do another kind of character thing, and I called it Metalhead, and I absolutely love this shot. This one actually was taken with the Q3 rather than the Q2 Monochrome, so again, just shows that the Q3 is a great camera for monochrome stuff, even though it's from a color sensor, but providing you're not going too high up on the ISOs, you can really get a stunning image with that. This next image of Metalhead is my favorite one. This one was taken with the Q2 Monochrome rather than the Q3, and yeah, I absolutely love this shot. I love just everything about it, and it was thought about before. Obviously we had to buy the balloon and all that sort of stuff, and it was quite a difficult one to shoot because that balloon was just flying about all over the place, and I wanted it so that it was obvious that it was a heart, the balloon. I actually printed this one also as a platinum palladium print, and yeah, I absolutely love that platinum palladium print. That's available on my website for sale, that image. This one was taken with the Leica SL and a 35mm 1.47 Artisans lens. I did love that lens that I used for this, and I loved the SL for any of that kind of adapted lens, manual focus stuff. Now, but the trouble was with that 7 Artisans lens was it fell apart pretty quickly, and I was really disappointed about that because I did love that lens. It was really sharp, in a good way. It did have a vintage look to that lens, but still nice and sharp there. But unfortunately, after using that lens for maybe about 4 months, the lens just started to fall to bits. And this is the difference sometimes in a Leica lens and one of the Chinese brand lenses, is that they're just not manufactured in the same way. They're not handmade. These kind of lenses, where it came apart, that lens was you could tell it was riveted together, and those rivets just started to come apart and snap, and so that lens is absolutely useless now. Great lens, I guess, if you're not going to use it as your everyday lens, and I was using it as an everyday lens on the Leica SL at that point, but still absolutely love this portrait. And the Leica SL is just a great camera for just adapting lenses to. Big viewfinder, easy to focus, and you'll get some great images with the Leica SL. This one was taken, this is a time traveler shot. I kind of really wanted him walking up towards that window with everybody walking towards him. And again, let's just quickly talk about blowing highlights out, when to do it, when not to do it. This was one of those circumstances where I could have easily pulled all the detail back on that window up there, but what you can end up doing there is just destroying the whole atmosphere of an image just by trying to be technically correct or technically perfect by pulling your highlights back. Sometimes you're actually better just doing the opposite, just getting rid of that detail, because it's not something that's going to add to the photo. Sometimes, having detail in certain areas is actually taken away from an image, taken away from the feeling of it. This was a portrait taken on the streets of London. this guy, you know, I'd seen him walking around as smart as ever with his bowler hat and everything on, and I just needed to take a photograph of him. I kind of started where I was kind of trying to take a candid photograph of him, and I kind of caught his eye, and I just thought sometimes if I catch somebody's eye, then that makes me just go up to the guy and just say, or woman, and just say, look, can I take your portrait? And as usual, the most likely thing that's going to happen is they're going to say yes. So just don't panic and don't worry about taking pictures of people. Especially if they're dressed well and they, you know, you can see that they've made an effort, or that they, you know, maybe look like a bit of a character. It's likely that they will say yes. They've made such an effort to look the way that they are, that usually they will appreciate the fact that you want to take their photograph. And this image was taken, this was shot from the hip, this one. I just seen this guy reaching for a cigarette just to his lips, and I had to be, you know, just really quick. It's, again, you know, this one's not the sharpest of images. I'm not bothered about things like that. I either love an image or I don't, and this one I love, and despite the fact that it's not the sharpest, yeah, I just love the feel of this photograph. This was a shot that I did, which is the Time Traveler project again, and I seen this window here that was mirrored, and you know, this idea came to light, where I just thought, you know, it'd be good if you were kind of like looking at yourself, but then again, you know, the face is not seen. It shows the bandage on his hand there, which, you know, has appeared in other time traveler shots, creating that kind of, well, what is wrong with his hand, and, you know, just creating a little backstory to the whole thing. I love this photograph. And I'm going to finish on this image here today. This photograph was taken, I just love that tree, and I love, you know, how bent over it is and everything, and yeah, it's just, look, I just love this photograph a lot. Here's the thing, guess what this was taken on? It was taken on an iPhone, and I'm almost devastated the fact that this was taken on an iPhone. It was a day where I was shooting film, and I did shoot it on film as well, but actually on this particular image, and it's not always the case, and it's not usually the case, but I actually preferred this iPhone shot. And yeah, so it just goes to show that you can take great images on an iPhone. We've run out of time again this episode, but I'm going to continue these videos on, and I hope you're enjoying them and enjoying kind of my perspective of why I've chosen those images as my favorites. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. I'll see you next time.